Hello and welcome back. Let's take a look today at some very, very important points. Number one, there is nothing outside of you. Your brother is you. Those are a couple to start with. I don't know if you're just tuning in or whether you have seen many of these videos or whether you're just tuning into these videos and you're a long-term student of A Course in Miracles, or perhaps you've just gotten started, you're newer, or maybe you're just checking this out. Welcome in any event. Wherever you happen to find yourself, should you choose to watch this discussion, this video to the end, which of course I invite you to do, you will hear something, or perhaps a collection of somethings, of things that you're meant to hear, and you will know when that happens. So, as always, I invite you to stick around for that. When you hear this idea that you're meant to hear, understand it's your inner teacher speaking to you, the Holy Spirit. So again, a couple of very important points here. There is nothing outside of you, and your brother, in other words, every living thing is you. Not related to you, not similar to you, not in close kinship or a buddy that hangs out with you on a Friday night. Your brother is you. Literally. So you may ask, how can this possibly be? When we look around and there appear to be 8 billion of us, as what we refer to as human beings, and then countless other forms of life, large and small and even microscopic. With all of this division and multiplicity, which we appear to see so clearly, supposedly. With all of this going on, how do we, in fact, realize that there is only perfect oneness? Well, one thing that you can do is start by simply entertaining that idea. You'll hear it again. If you never watch another one of these videos, you'll hear it from somebody else. And if you do, then you'll hear it again from me. In fact, as you stick around to the end, which of course I invite you to do, you'll hear it again without question over the next few minutes. We're going through chapter 11 of the text of A Course in Miracles, specifically chapter 11, section 4, which is entitled The Inheritance of God's Son. So your inheritance, everyone's inheritance. Why? There's only perfect oneness. And well, your brother is you. Is you. So any limitation that we place on our peace is a limitation on the peace of all. Because there is no separation of any kind. None. If we limit the peace, the love, the forgiveness that we share ourself with a capital S, who we really are, will remain unknown to us. It will remain simply an idea that sometimes enters our mind rather than our direct experience. When this course says that our forgiveness has to be total or it's not at all, this is what is meant by that. We cannot love some people and hate others. That's not love. And that does make sense, doesn't it? Love doesn't do that. Love doesn't go all in for some people and then exclude others. It's completely abstract. It simply is. It doesn't do boundaries. It doesn't do borders. And it doesn't do split off classifications and walls and barriers. And here in the world, we're conditioned to think that it does. And we're encouraged. I mean, it's through no fault of our own. We're conditioned to do this, all of us, no matter what society we grew up in. Doesn't matter where we live in the world and what the economic system is like, what the system of government is like, what the social systems are like. It doesn't make any difference at all. We're conditioned to see ourselves as an individual human being. And we're conditioned to see ourselves as competing with other individual human beings who are, of course, separate from us. A completely different unit of consumption, of economic production. We're invited and encouraged to define and defend our personal territory. This is just one example of defining and defending our personal territory. We do this in many different ways. We define and defend our personal territory in our dwelling, in our home, our nuclear family, and that extends to our communities, to our town or city or village that we live in, to our state, province, region that we live in, to our nation state, to everything. There is always a division and a subdivision and a constant defining and defending of personal territory in which we're invited and encouraged to be selective in our giving. This course invites us to drop that selectivity and simply give all to all, with no exceptions. Yes, this includes people that may have harmed you. It does. It includes people that may have said something nasty to you or to someone that you love. It includes the opposition political party. It does. There are no exceptions to this. If we limit our giving, if we limit our forgiveness, if we limit our extension of love in any way, we don't know ourselves. We cannot know the peace of God, which is deep down what each and every one of us wants, or we would not be here, interested in spirituality. This yearning to know God, to know who we really are, this yearning is universal. It's what has us all interested in spirituality in the first place. It really is. It's what has us pay attention to this voice that we all have that tells us there's more to it than just the needs of the physical body. There's more to it than its cycles, its daily cycles of eating, sleeping, going to the bathroom, toiling away at work, checking email, making sure that we spend a significant amount of time scrolling our social media feed because we can't live without it. Right? All of the things that we occupy our time with, there's more to it than that, clearly. And of course, there is. You've answered the call. Thank you for answering it. It's very, very important. A couple more important points from this section of the text. Only you can deprive yourself of anything. It's italicized here in chapter 11, section 4. For emphasis, anytime we italicize something in print, it's placing emphasis on it. Only you can deprive yourself of anything. So, if this is the first time that you've heard this idea, you may find yourself thinking, what? They're perfectly normal. Perfectly normal. This course aims to effect a perceptual 180 on us. And we invite it, of course. But we don't see things the way they are. Our perception of the world, of ourselves, of our brother, is completely backwards. It is 180 degrees backwards and flipped upside down. This course aims to flip it right side up so that we see things as they are, rather than the way we've made them, which doesn't work for us deep down, and we know it, or we wouldn't be interested in spirituality at all. We wouldn't have listened to this voice of our inner teacher that we all share that said there's got to be more to it than this. Take a look at this video over here. Yeah, watch this guy. Watch someone else pick up A Course in Miracles and read it. Look at it online. Yeah. Let some of these ideas percolate your mind. Not ready for a full bore thing? No problem. Just drip, drip. Here, listen to this idea. What it looks like for all of us is of course, completely different. Some people in this world are ready for the presentation of truth, which not everyone is, of course, because not everyone is watching this. Though it would be very cool if they were. Acceptance that only we can deprive ourselves of anything is the beginning of the dawn of light. It is the beginning of our awakening. It really is, because spirituality, as you know, is about taking responsibility. It is. It's about taking grown-up and adult responsibility for our own experience. And when we really do this, we have no choice but to look on all of the drama that we're going through and accept that we did this to ourselves. The power in this comes from realizing this, as unflattering as it is that we made all of this drama up, and we did. The power here is, having done that, we can unmake it. We can set this aside, and yes, we can choose to see it differently. So that's what we're invited to do, to see it differently, as it truly is, rather than the way we've made it. Now, along the way, denial of this idea that we've done all of this to ourselves will come up. Expect it. It's probably coming up for you right now. If it's not, fantastic. It will. And understand that it takes many forms. So our instruction here is to be vigilant and aware of these, to be aware of the many forms of resistance that crop up to truth. Our resistance to truth is very strong, which is why we still appear to be here. If our resistance were significantly weakened, we wouldn't have need for this conversation at all, because we would all be where we actually are, and we would be aware that we're actually at home in God, perfectly safe and whole and limitless, utterly boundless and joyful and loving. All of that. We'd be aware of that, but because we appear to be here running around on this spinning ball of rock. We need these reminders. We all do. So we recognize the resistance and forgive it. Yeah. We can't possibly hope to awaken or do what we call make progress on the spiritual path if we're not aware of the pitfalls. So this is one reason why meditation and mindfulness practices are a thing in many different world spiritual traditions, including A Course in Miracles. It's because this present moment awareness is key. You can't solve a problem if you don't know it's there, right? We're invited to drop blame. When we look at our social media feed, let's use that as an example, we find ourselves going through an internal dialogue. And it's often very critical of someone or something or an organization or a political party or a group of people. There's often a healthy dose of judgment and blame, blaming other people for our lot in life, or lashing out at them in condemnation and hatred. And you absolutely don't have to type out your thoughts, which of course people do. Just thinking them is enough. So what happens when we encounter all of this resistance? We're invited to let our blame go. It is not your brother's problem that you're uncomfortable right now, if you are. It's yours, right? If I'm uncomfortable right now, it's my doing. This applies to all of us, and expect resistance on that. Expect it. Understand that that resistance is the ego. It's the ego, this false sense of individual self that is nothing but an illusion itself. It's this illusion that wants you to stay put, to go back to the way things were and your constant judgment and blame, which never satisfied you, or you wouldn't be watching this. So what happens here is that we're invited to give up blaming others for our plight, for our lot, for our situation in life. We're invited to give that up. Now, what often happens is people start to blame themselves. That's the same thing. How is that so? Well, blame is blame. There is only perfect oneness, and your brother is you. So when you lash out at him, no matter what he said on social media, you're lashing out at yourself. There is no separation of any kind. When you're lashing out at yourself, calling yourself a failure, an imbecile, and worse than that, calling yourself bad and evil, when you lash out at yourself, you lash out at your brother. Why? There is only perfect oneness. Your brother is you. Therefore, what is the solution? It's to give up blame entirely, to drop it all. All of it. Every last little bit. Every last little bit. That's why it's said in this course that forgiveness is either total or it's not at all. And that makes sense when you allow yourself to really, really think about it, which of course I invite you to do. We can't love on certain people and hate others and expect to know God. We absolutely can't, because we're harboring hatred for ourselves. This is an idea that sounds simple. well, and it is, these ideas in A Course in Miracles are, in fact, simple, but we don't often experience them that way because our conditioning is so pervasive. So spirituality, and you've heard this from other traditions, I'm sure, can rightly be seen as an undoing. And it is, because we're dropping all of our drama. We're recognizing it for what it is, and we're setting it aside. We're forgiving our cough on a live broadcast. Yeah, what's going on here is that you cannot enter the presence of God if you attack his son. If you lash out and blame yourself or anyone, you can't know who you are. And that stands to reason when you think about it. We can't keep little pockets of hatred and blame to ourselves because we're blaming ourselves. We can't shower disdain on one person or a group of people and forgive literally everyone else and know God. We've got to forgive that one person. Totally. It's either total or it's not at all. So you may ask, and rightly so, as a practical matter, well, how the hell do I really do this? Because this person really wronged me. Well, okay, so if you're not ready to forgive a particular person, maybe it's your ex, maybe it's your current partner, maybe if you're going through a breakup, it's the other person. I don't know, maybe it's someone who has legitimately abused you, and there's a lot of egregious abuse that goes on in the world. There is. And maybe you feel like, yeah, you're not ready to go there today. No problem. Start with who and what you're able to do. Forgive yourself for spilling coffee on your white pants. I mean, really. Forgive a passing cloud or the weather or something else. Anything that does not produce a feeling of complete and total joy, complete and total joy, anything that upsets you in any way, and there are multiple things every day. When you become aware that something or someone is upsetting you, that is an opportunity to forgive. And when we do this, under the guidance of our inner teacher, we're acknowledging that the separation never took place, that your brother is you. Therefore, because he is you, he didn't do anything to you. There is no separate other. We didn't do anything to him. He didn't do anything to us. There is no separate other on whom we can effect any kind of harm. We can think that there is, but it's a mistake. When we accept what's known as the atonement for ourselves, and atonement is the correction of our inner teacher, the central point of this is our acknowledgement that the separation never occurred. It never took place. Therefore, we never did anything to one another in truth. So because this is frequently misunderstood, it's really part of our path of awakening that we repeat these lessons over and over again until they become habitual and we begin to learn them. What shows us that they're true? Well, our own experience. That's why this course, a self-study curriculum, stresses practical application. And no matter what spiritual tradition or traditions you practice, that's where the action is, isn't it? In your practical day-to-day, moment-to-moment application, which is why this present moment awareness becomes so important. Because when we're aware that we have an opportunity for forgiveness, we're invited to take that opportunity. And there will be many times where you're swept away in the day's activities, in email, in work, in life in general, and you don't see all of the forgiveness opportunities that present themselves. Not a problem. When you become aware of the next one, take the opportunity right then and there to forgive and rinse, repeat, and do it often enough and diligently and persistently and consistently enough, and you will begin to see things differently. That's how this all works. And it is our experience that proves it to ourselves that these ideas are true. So I thank you for tuning in and for joining me here today. If you have not subscribed, please do so. We'd love to have you. This arrow in the corner of your screen is the prompt to subscribe. When you click or hover over that, you will be prompted to join us. And I hope that you do that. What we've got is a procession through the text of A Course in Miracles. And it's very, very, well, long, several hundred pages. There are 31 chapters, and we're going just a few paragraphs at a time because it's a lot to say. We're on chapter 11, which means there's a lot more to come. And every now and then we will stop and have some focused discussions about particular items that are coming up for you on the spiritual path. So if you have one or more than one of those, and you would like to see me specifically address that topic here in a video, I'm happy to do that. My purpose here is to simply remind you of who you really are and to serve as a guide. So if I can help in any way by addressing an issue that is coming up for you, I'm happy to do that. So please do let me know here in the comments. Questions and comments are always, always more than welcome. So I thank you for joining me, and I will speak to you very, very soon.